1, 2. Check 1, 2. There you are. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
How about this one? I'm off at about 6, 8 inches. Okay. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Did we had the artwork going on? Okay. Good morning, everybody. I can whistle. I can't do that. Okay. We'll get started here. And those of you who are getting food at the table, please find your food and your drinks and take your seats now. Don't let me get back there. Good morning, everybody. This is such a wonderful sight to see, always, for me, when we have everybody together at an all-staff meeting or at any event, as long as we're in person together. Happy fall semester. It's my favorite time of the year. Not to have all of you back only, but also especially our students. They really make this place so exciting for all of us. I hope you had a chance as you came in to see the artwork. It was rotating on it's now gone. But I wanted to just take a minute and acknowledge all our tremendous and amazing artists here at UT Libraries. And I also want to thank our Library Staff Council, who really coordinated this effort over the summer. For those of you been to the ice cream social, yes? Have you? Yes? The art was up in the staff room. Is it still up there? The artwork? Yes. So if you haven't seen it here, please visit our staff room and just take a look at the amazing creative juices of our colleagues here in the library. And congratulations to all of our artists. And thank you, for sharing your art and your talent with us as well. Okay, we have a long agenda, and we have many exciting things to share with you as well, so let's get started. As usual, I will start with the land acknowledgement, so bear with me.
If it'll advance.
All right. I will read it from my script. UT Libraries honor and offer gratitude to past and present generations of indigenous peoples who have inhabited and cared for the land on which the University of Texas at Austin resides and where we work, study, and learn. UT Libraries recognize the Alabama Coshata, the Caddo, Carrizo, Kamacrudo, Cualtecan, Comanche, Kickapoo, Lipan Apache, Tonquá, Isleta del Sur Pueblo, and all the American Indian and indigenous peoples and communities who have been or have become a part of these lands and territories in what is now known as Texas. While honoring the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this place, we also acknowledge the painful history of genocide, forced removal from this territory, and assimilation, along with the ongoing injustices against indigenous people and native lands. As an academic institution that provides access to resources and information for research and learning purposes, it is UT Libraries' responsibility to support scholarship, grow partnerships, and foster an environment that celebrates and amplifies indigenous voices and knowledge. Thank you. Thank you, Noah. I'd now like to just quickly review the agenda. Do you have it?
Apologies, clicker's not working.
Okay. You've all seen the agenda, I'm assuming. First, we will have Al from our Human Resources Services Office to introduce all our new hires for this summer, and there are many of them, and I'm so excited that we're going to see them all here. They are here. I forgot to mention we have several people online. Good morning and welcome to you as well. If there are any new ones who are online, we'll welcome you appropriately. But if you are here in the room when you are introduced, be sure to stand up so we can see who you are and get your speech ready. You're expected also to make a speech when you stand up. And a dance, all right. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to invite Al up. Al, where are you? There we go.
Yeah. Thank you, Lorraine, and good morning, UTL. I am Al Carmona, and I'm one of the human resource coordinators in the department. And as Lorraine stated, I'm here to welcome our most recent new hires to the department. So as I say your name, if you could please rise so everyone can see who you are. Is anyone from Lit here? Anyone from Lit? There. No, it's not working. Ooh. There we go. Yay. All right. Thank you, Noah. So we'll start off with Dulce Aguilar Garcia. She is a new she's a new circulation specialist. After 12 years of teaching high school and SPED students and 5 years of becoming a fellow book lover at Half Price Books, Dulce is excited to have joined UT Libraries. Outside of work, Dulce has a large, anxious 8-year-old pit bull, an opinionated, medium-sized schnauzer, 3 siblings, 2 nieces, and a mother who all demand some of her undivided attention. Basically, work is a reprieve from the chaos at home. So she's very excited to be here. Welcome, Dulce. Next up, we have Erin Anderson. There's Erin. And Erin is the new liaison librarian for behavioral sciences. Erin grew up in Delaware and came to Austin in 2001. After working in the clinical trial industry for more than 12 years, she decided to pursue a career in librarianship with the help of UT's iSchool. This is her first librarian position, and she can't wait to get more involved in everything UTL has to offer. In her downtime, Erin likes to read mysteries and cross-stitch while watching and quoting episodes of The Golden Girls. Welcome, Erin. Next up, we have Christina Barone. And Christina is one of our first resident librarians. And she is from Los Angeles, California, and is a recent graduate of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville iSchool program. Beforehand, she worked at UCLA in the Hugh and Hazel Darling Law Library as an acquisition and collection maintenance assistant. With this residency, she plans to gain more experience working with digital archives, digital preservation, and outreach. When she's not working at the library, Christina's hobbies are going to coffee shops, crocheting, and reading a good horror book. Welcome, Christina. Next, we have Jennifer Bussey. And Jennifer came to UT after graduating from the University of North Texas this past May with her master's in information science. There, she worked on projects such as the Chronicles of Oklahoma and a Richard Doherty photograph collection. She enjoys anything that involves a great story and sharing those stories with others. Welcome, Jennifer. Next, we have Sierra Dahl, Assistant Head of Resource Sharing. Before joining the UT Libraries, Sierra worked in the Access Services Department at the University of North Texas Libraries in the Interlibrary Loan Unit. Sierra enjoys playing cozy video games, reading, and taking care of her collection of succulents. She also has 2 middle-aged cats who have quickly settled into their new home in Austin. Welcome, Sierra. Next, we have Liz Garza. Liz, our second resident librarian, and Liz is not new to UT Libraries, as she previously served as the Senior Library Specialist for the past 2 years at the Benson Latin American Collection Rare Books Room. She received her MLS from the Texas Women's University in August of this year and is excited to start her career within academic libraries. Within the residency program, Liz is excited to explore the areas of metadata, subject liaison librarianship, and user experience and assessment. When not working at the library, she likes to knit, read, and work weddings with her husband as a DJ/photo booth power duo. Welcome, Liz, or congrats, Liz. Next, we have Brian Gee, who is Open Research Coordinator. So Brian is a recovering academic whose background is in paleontology, which is Ross from Friends, not Indiana Jones. He is originally from LA, where he did his undergrad in geology at Pomona College before moving to Canada for a PhD in ecology and evolutionary biology at the University of Toronto. He then spent 2 years as a postdoc at the University of Washington, where he studied fossil amphibians from Antarctica, and most recently was a data curator at Dryad, a journalist repository for research data. He lives with a rescue dog named Bart and a nameless pet lizard he sees every 3 months. He still plays Pokemon Go and can be often seen wearing Taylor Swift paraphernalia outside of work settings. Welcome, Brian. Next, we have Anna Rico, our third resident librarian. So Anna is from El Paso, Texas, where she earned a bachelor's degree in accounting from UTEP. In May of 2024, she graduated from the UT School of Information, and during her time as a student, she worked as a collection development GRA for the Benson Latin American Collection. Anna is interested in subject librarianship, special collections, and cultural heritage and community outreach. She also has a big love for zines. Welcome, Anna. And last, we have Casey Ruger. And Casey is our new liaison librarian for education. Casey went to UT for her undergrad degree in education, and she taught for over 20 years, went back to school for her master's, and then worked as a research librarian at Pearson Education and as a medical librarian at Dell Children's Medical Center and the Pediatric Pandemic Network. She is excited to be back at UT. Welcome, Casey. And that concludes the new hire introductions. And again, if we could give a round of applause for everyone. Thank you. And now, Lorraine.
Welcome. It's always exciting at every All Staff that we have so many new people and continuing. And thank you to all of you who have chosen to join us here at UT Libraries. It means a lot. You are going to be valuable contributors together with all the other experts and amazing, talented staff and librarians we have here at UT Libraries. So I hope it's a wonderful experience as you join and settle into your new roles here, all right? Okay. I am going to just give you a brief overview of what we're going to do next. And it's called Plausible Futures. That's the name we gave to our roadmap. It's not intended to be a strategic plan so much as it is just direction for us, short-term directions. I'm not big on 5-year and 10-year plans so much because things change so quickly, especially in libraries. And so I want to start out by asking, who was here in 2022? Okay, that's good. So all of you know the 3 strategic objectives because you were all involved and engaged in that, right? Okay, who want to tell me the first one? The second one? Third one? 3? You got that already. Uh-huh. I knew that would come up. But the goal behind the strategic roadmap was really to take a look at what we had been doing well over the last 6-7 years or so, and to really build upon that. So we've achieved a lot. We wanted to continue to build on those accomplishments. We also wanted to take a look at the lessons learned, you know, in pursuing some of those pathways. And as you all know, in higher education, there's always change. We wanted to embrace that change and make sure that we were relevant in the community and on campus where we serve as an anchor to support the mission of the university. And speaking of the university, we wanted to make sure that we aligned with UT's strategic plan. Now, who can remember the 3 Ps of UT's strategic plan? Come on. People, places, pursuits, right? People, places, pursuits. Austin, place, people, all of us at the university, and pursuits, the research and the education and the amazing creative work and scholarship that happens here. So within that framework, we went back, each of the directors went back to their divisions to engage all of you and identify, you know, what are the things that we should be focusing on. And when all of that information came back, we identified 3. So go ahead. And these were the 3 strategic priorities. Essentially, it was to accelerate digital content that is and will continue to be a major priority for all academic libraries, but also especially at UT. And coming out of the pandemic, we really wanted to optimize and balance the in-person and the online operations. We've done very well during the pandemic to maintain academic continuity here at UT, and we wanted to optimize that. And then thirdly, we decided that we wanted to highlight and elevate IDEA as a strategic priority with the goal of embedding it in all of our work, not as a separate strategic priority sitting out there. And that work continues today. So today I have asked each of the directors to present to us on each of these strategic priorities. So allow me, since we have so many new people, to introduce the Vice Provost Council in the order that they will speak and address these priorities for us. First is Jennifer Lee. She's right here in the middle. Jennifer Lee is the Director for Discovery and Access, and has leadership for all aspects of access, content management, preservation, branch and borrower services, storage, and logistics. That's a lot. And you are all in the room. You know who you are, who report to Jennifer. Our second speaker is going to be Catherine Hamer, sitting right here. Catherine provides leadership for teaching and learning services, for scholarly resources department, for research support and digital innovation and scholarly communications. And Chris Carter, the very tall guy you see around in the building all the time, provides leadership for all aspects of information technology, library information technology, budgeting and financial services, facilities, human resources, assessment, and communication. So with that, I wanted to make sure that especially the new team members understand the structure. They all report directly to me. I will also take a minute and just introduce Claire. Claire, are you here? Claire Burrows is also a director for development who reports directly to me. And Aaron Choate is not here today, but he's the director for research and strategy, also reporting directly to me. And then Melissa Guy, who is the Nettie Lee Benson director of that collection, who also reports directly to me. Those are my direct reports. The three that I just introduced who will be speaking here forms the Vice Provost Council, and we are the decision-making body for the libraries, okay? And with that, I'm gonna call Jennifer. Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jennifer Lee, Director of Discovery and Access, and as Lorraine said, I'm here this morning with my colleagues Catherine and Chris to provide an update on all that we've accomplished now that we're 2 years into this 3-year roadmap. So back in September of 2022, we presented this roadmap initially with examples of work that we expected to accomplish by the end of the 3 years. And today we'll be highlighting some examples, and I'm stressing some because they are by no means all the examples of the great work that's being done to advance this roadmap. So Lorraine's noted we have 3 strategic priorities. I will be presenting on the first, which is here on the screen. And it's a lot of words to basically just say we're looking to increase our digital content. We live in a hybrid world. This doesn't mean we're looking to diminish the print, but we are looking to increase and expand our online offerings. We want to make that content more discoverable and usable. And of course, we want to keep it around over time. In advancing this priority, we've mapped out 3, next slide please, 3 objectives. And the first of these is to expand discovery of our digital content. And on the screen, we have 3 examples of ways that we're doing that. So the Guatemalan National Police Historical Archive, also known as AHPN, and if you've ever wondered why we call it AHPN, you can see on the screen, I don't have enough Spanish skills to do it justice, so I'm gonna stick with the English, but this is an archive that we've hosted since 2008, I believe. We've recently upgraded the technology that we use to host the archive. And this has meant that we've been able to improve the way we manage the content and also vastly improve the way users can search the content. And this is super important because with this upgrade, we've been able to triple the number of images that we provide. So previously we had 6 million images, which to me is like super impressive. And now we're at 18 million. So if you're interested, if you haven't taken a look at this, Google this, and I guarantee it'll be the top search result. So take a look if you haven't already. We've also upgraded our digital asset management system. Those of you who were here in 2022 have probably already heard about this, but if you're wondering what a digital asset management system is, the easiest way to think of it is basically it's the way that we are storing and managing our assets and then providing access to them in a variety of ways. But one I want to highlight here is the collections portal. So we have a team that's been working not just for the past 2 years, but for many, many years to get us to this point. We recently migrated all of the content in the collections portal as well as the metadata. That's the information that describes it and makes content findable. And we will continue to work with colleagues in digitization as well as our colleagues who are experts in metadata, special collections, and subject experts, because now we're looking to increase the amount of content that we have in the dams and collections portal. Another example for this slide is the Mellon Grant, and this is something you'll hear more about later this month, I think September 25th specifically. And this is an aggregated search service that we're providing or will be providing later this month. There's been a lot of interest for probably a couple decades now of providing a more streamlined way to search across collections here at UT, not just at UT libraries. And so this, when we roll it out, is a way for people to be able to hopefully more easily search UT libraries content that's at the Blanton Museum of Art and the Harry Ransom Center, which you may have heard referred to as the HRC. We'll be harvesting records for the content from those collections and providing access and discoverability of that content through our online catalog, which some of you may think of as Primo. Basically, it's just search.lib.utexas. You go there, you should be able to search across our content as well as the Blanton and the HRC. Next slide. So the second objective here is to increase digital content creation, description, and access. And the first example here, I think, stirs strong emotions. Some people just don't even want to hear about artificial intelligence, I hear. And other people are like keenly interested in learning more and doing more with it. Regardless of which of those two may describe how you feel about artificial intelligence or machine learning, I can guarantee you're going to keep hearing more about it, not only here at the library, but at UT, but I think in all areas of our lives. And we've heard recently from our colleagues presenting on LibGuides and the work we do to help people on campus learn more about AI, the resources that UT provides for them to work with AI and machine learning. We've also heard about work that's being done with some of our own digital content, with annotating it with machine learning, and our chat service possibly complementing what we do with chat with some artificial intelligence. So expect to hear more, whether you're one of the people who are excited about AI or not. Also important is the work we've done around OERs. Those are open educational resources. And a big step forward for us with that is Pressbooks. This is a software and hosting of online books that makes it easier, I think easy, but definitely easier for authors to create online books. And Pressbooks in particular allows them to not only create these books and share them, but they can also embed interactive content, so like activities or videos, even audio clips. They can also update these resources that they create as needed as subjects change or they want to provide updated content. Pressbooks makes that really easy as well. Also important is the Texas Data Repository, which is key to our work with the Open Source Programs Office here on campus. If you've heard anyone at the library say OSPO, I can almost guarantee this is what they're referring to, the Open Source Programs Office. And as we look to advance open resources of all kinds, we're working closely with this program office on campus as they work to train and support students and especially researchers in working with data and upskilling in terms of open source skills. And so my last slide is for the advancement of digital preservation practices and platforms. This is important as we are acquiring and creating more and more digital content. We really need to have a good direction in how we'll manage that content and steward it into the future. And so a lot of you here in the room today or watching are involved in this in some way. A first step for us when I stood up here in 2022 was to say we would need to develop a preservation strategy, and that's been done. And that will really scope and direct our activities as we move forward. We're migrating our archive of tape, which is where we keep backup of all of our digital assets. That's in progress. We have about 500 terabytes currently of digital assets, and in the next 5 years, we're looking to at least double that. So that's a lot of content we're already looking to steward, and as we look to double it, we definitely will need a very sound preservation strategy to move all of it into the future, which leads me to the last bullet here. We are working to bring up Archivematica as our digital preservation management system. And there's a team working on this, and I'm happy to say that Lorraine likes to note where we're leading. We're definitely leading on campus. Several of us met yesterday with staff from HRC and CAH. They're very interested in learning what we're doing. We're able to do things at scale and efficiently, and we aren't asking the tower for more money to do it. They are very keen to learn more about how we're doing that and what they might learn from us. But I'll also note that we have been asked to participate with Ithaca as they work with a cohort of university libraries across the US to learn more about digital preservation at scale, so that they as a service provider might offer services that help in that way. So that's exciting for us, and I think we will help inform their discussions and what they're learning and what they're offering to people, but I think those discussions will also help us as we're developing this preservation strategy to move forward. So with that, I will turn it over to Catherine.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Is this good? Okay. All right. I'm Catherine Hamer. I'm Director of Academic Engagement, and I use she, her pronouns. And just as a reiteration, each of these strategic priorities contain so many initiatives, and we really are just talking about a select few accomplishments and items that are still in process. And since we have a lot of new people who have joined us since 2002, I'm going to try not to use any unexplained acronyms, but catch me if I do. This particular strategic priority to optimize our resources and balance our cost benefits of in-person and online operations, I think includes many of the special projects that we do, but also the daily work that we do and the expertise that we bring to it. So next slide, please. Okay, one of our initiatives is to develop efficient approaches for engagement of the collection management cross-functional team, logistics, and branch supervisors to identify and accomplish collection management goals. And one of the ways that we're achieving this is through the application of Green Glass. Green Glass is a tool that's now part of OCLC suite of services, and it provides collection analysis data that libraries can use to make decisions about their collections. So for instance, some libraries might use Green Glass to identify materials that they want for deselection. Other libraries might use it because they want to identify materials in their collections that they might want to send to special collections. UT Green Glass has been used to compare collections of our library with other libraries. This is what Green Glass can do. It can also look at comparing us with a cohort of other libraries. It can also look at collections to show things like circulation data or how our collections of print overlap with our collection of e-resources, and how, for instance, our collections overlap with HathiTrust holdings, and within that, it can differentiate between items that are in copyright and items that are in the public domain. In one of our applications of the tool at UTL, the Collection Management Cross-Functional Team and the Collections teams in Scholarly Resources Department are using Green Glass to identify PCL print materials for our off-storage facilities. The teams, along with the subject liaison help, they've been reviewing areas of PCL where there's little or no room for shelving and reshelving. So shelving new material, bringing new materials in, the areas are just too tight. And so Green Glass provides a picture of these areas by combining our checkout data, publication years, electronic duplication, print duplication, and other ways to sort the data. So really, trying to loosen up some of the tight spots in PCL so that we can bring new materials into the collection. And recently, Jennifer Lee led a project with other stakeholders, including Sheila Winchester and Classics faculty, to resize the Classics collection for the renovation in Wagoner Hall that impacted the configuration of the Classics library. They looked at Green Glass to assist in making decisions about items to select for storage and items to retain in the Classics library, and they validated these lists through faculty input. The next bullet is about the expansion of LSF, our high-density library storage facility, and it's on the Pickle campus. We currently have 3 finished modules, and they're cleverly named LSF1, LSF2, and LSF3. And we're currently constructing a 4th module, and it will be called? No, I had to do that. I am my father's daughter, silly jokes included. Okay, I made you fall for it. It's going to be called CPR. And CPR stands for Collections, Preservation, and Research. And it's on track to open in early 2025, just after the turn of the calendar year. And so while the first 3 modules are very, very similar, they all have the really high bays of shelving, like 30 feet. And they're cool and, climate controlled and everything. CPR is going to be a little bit different. It's going to include spaces for cold storage for things like photographs, film, and it's also going to have space for artifact storage. So you can think about like a piece of art or objects or clothing and costumes. And there will be space for researchers to work out there in the facility. So that they can come and use materials from the collection, probably by appointment, by prior appointment, but that's all being worked out at this point. And so CPR is going to have those unique features, but it's also going to have additional high bay storage as well. Okay, next slide. Okay, another of our initiatives involves implementing the SOS plan. And SOS refers to the Sustainable Open Scholarship Report that was developed out of the provost-appointed faculty subcommittees that looked at 4 areas of open scholarship that guide our approaches. And they were content licensing and negotiations, open access broadly, open data, and open educational resources, or OERs. And today I'm highlighting some of the OER recommendations from the final report that include to widely promote OER as one of UT's options to lower costs for course material and to expand funding and support for the UT Libraries OER program. Libraries through Heather Walter, Colleen Lyon, Lorraine, and many of our liaison and TLS librarians have promoted OERs recently through faculty orientations and so forth, and talking about either creation or adoption of OERs. We also have the Open Fellows Program, which grants funds to awardees, faculty, to assist them in either creating their own OER or adopting and adapting or an existing OER. And OERs have been a focus of our development team. We have funds raised from the Talker Foundation, the Laborman Foundation, the Libraries Advisory Council, and a 40 for 40 campaign. And Lorraine has also invested some non-recurring UTL funds, and this year we established a pilot GRA for our open education program, and we have our first incumbent in Pauline Huff, who I just met this morning. We also, so our very small but mighty OER unit has a lot to be proud of. With really modest investments, the materials that were created by the OE fellows alone are estimated to have saved UT libraries over $52,000, and that figure will only grow over the years. The last year's annual OER report for the 2022-2023 academic year, it's estimated that the implementation of OERs at UT has saved students nearly $1.9 million. So it's really had an impact. Jennifer also mentioned our Pressbooks platform, which is another area of service and support offered to the community for OERs. Okay. Another goal on our roadmap is to develop sustainable workflows and increase capacity for exhibitions, both physical and digital. And to help accomplish this, the UTL hired an experienced exhibits curator for the Benson. This is Veronica Valerino. And she enhances the reach and visibility of Benson's collections and programming by managing a robust exhibition program in 4 physical spaces. And this includes the newly revamped Ann Hartness Reading Room at the Benson. The exhibition space in the reading room allows UTL to bring the Benson collections to more audiences and to further integrate their unique materials into the teaching and learning mission of the university, especially in the context of the Lilas Benson partnership. And I'll encourage you all to visit the Benson to see what's currently on view. Right now on the first floor is an exhibit featuring vanguardist authors and writers. And later this month on the second floor, there will be a 25th anniversary of VOSES, the Latinx Oral History Project. So lots to see over there. Next slide. Okay, I think anyone who has spent any time in our spaces will have seen a lot of evidence of recent refresh and renovation. And I'm only going to talk about 2 upcoming and completed projects. The Learning Commons opened in 2015, which in some ways only seems like yesterday to me, but for our equipment and furnishings, it's almost like a lifetime ago. So at the end of last year, Michelle Ostro, Elise Naka, and Sarah DuPont submitted recommendations for a Learning Labs refresh plan that will be implemented in 2025, most likely over the summer. And they interviewed and surveyed colleagues who teach in the spaces and students who learn and study there to gather information. They analyzed this data. They also met with other campus units like McCombs, who manage their own technology-rich classrooms, and looked at demos. And they also researched future directions for technology-rich spaces. And all of this was to inform their recommendations, which I'm really looking forward to seeing implemented in the next year. And then the Foundry, which is our beautiful maker space in the Fine Arts Library, opened in 2017, and it was also due for an equipment refresh. Over the course of last year, Amber Welch and Ciara Wilkinson designed and implemented a plan to refresh equipment, and this included new 3D printers, additional embroidery sewing machine, and an additional laser cutter. And in December, we hired Carl Tigerstrom, who is our creative and instructional technologies librarian. So really this fall is our first academic year in quite a while that we have had a fully staffed and refreshed Foundry, and so it's really exciting. And these two projects are representative of our strategic initiative to update the model for PCL public-facing technology and build out UTL's academic and creative technology services and expertise. And then controlled digital lending, or CDL, is a practice whereby a library can make and lend a digital copy of a print book. According to controlleddigitallending.org, the library must meet 3 principles. It has to own a legal copy of the book, and it can only digitally loan as many copies as it owns. This is what's called the owned to loaned ratio. And thirdly, the library must use technical measures to ensure that the digital file can't be copied or redistributed in any way. At UTL, our implementation of controlled digital lending has been as a part of course reserve services. And where we might only have a print copy of a book and we can't purchase it as an ebook, we have digitized select books for course reserves. This way, students can do short-term digital loans of their course readings. And this started as a pilot, but it's now part of the normal workflows for course reserves. And it's been successful in that controlled digital lending allows access anytime, anywhere. So it can be during or after library hours and from on or off campus. So all of these priorities and initiatives that we're talking about today are a result of the work that each of you have done and that we as a library pursue together. So I want to thank everyone for helping us on the progress of the roadmap. We all have a lot to be proud of. And so thank you. And with that, I'll hand it off to Chris.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Chris Carter. I'm Director of Organizational Effectiveness. Is the mic working okay back there? Great. So I'm going to do strategic priority 3, embed the idea perspective across the organization. So first things first, inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, our idea. So DEI is the typical way that you hear that acronym. Accessibility is so important in the library, both accessibility to our collections, to our spaces, to our services, all of the above, that we decided to add A to ours and rearrange it into a word. So that's the idea perspective. I also want to say, we'll get to like the idea working group and the action plan that we published, but it has been a great exercise and project to look at both inclusion for our staff and for our users, and diversity within our staff and our users, our collections, and so forth, and to make the connection between working at UTL, and we've talked about the importance of IDEA forever. This is a core value of the libraries, and I think the news here is that we elevated it to this leg of our 3-pronged strategy, and we're going to walk the walk, as we said at the time. At the time, we were saying, we're good at talking the talk. Now let's prove that we can walk the walk. So, next slide. What did that include? So the IDEA action plan was the thing in 2022. We had just spent a couple of years, if you might recall, you will recall, 2020, 2021, there was a lot of focus on social justice, racial inequality, police, all of that was going on. And at the university, there was a real grassroots interest in becoming more educated and connecting on that topic. So we developed our IDEA action plan in that context, and one of the goals was to improve the way that we recruit. and expand the way that we talk about who should apply for our jobs and why and what it's like to work at UT Libraries to get larger and more diverse applicant pools. So that was the first thing. Second thing we started working on, and we had a posted statement on the website that we were going to review ancient terminology, things that might have been, put in the catalog in 1900 or whatever, and go back and find anachronistic terms that are no longer relevant to modern culture and replace those with better and more descriptive language. Then this grassroots DEI interest at our university and many other institutions around the state didn't fly with the state government, who funds a very small part of UT, but it's big enough that they can tell us what to do. So they passed a law and said anyone that's getting state funding can no longer explicitly have DEI programs. We are all probably aware of that. So because of that, some things stopped altogether on December 31st. If you please do go to the SharePoint page, search IDEA Action Plan, take a look at it. It's, I think, very valid values are expressed there, some things that we accomplished, and you'll also note that it says this work was completed on December 31st, 2023. Like, that's for the lawyers. and it's true in that sense of it, but next slide. So strengthen, support, and refine IDEA as part of our daily work. So getting back to Lorraine's introduction, the walk the walk part of this was also so that we could stop thinking about IDEA as like a separate project that we needed to do. That it would just sort of be in the air, in our minds, as just a thing we always account for when we're looking at any new project, any new employee in this case. So kudos to our managers, colleagues, and especially our HR team for thinking about the first week experience for our employees. I'll show you on this next dashboard how we've changed over time, but we have a lot of new employees. Raise your hand if you weren't here in 2022. You're new to the libraries. You've never heard any of this, This is great. Welcome, everybody. I hope it sounds good. We've been working on it for a couple of years, so that is something where inclusion of our staff, values get communicated to our staff early on. The goal is for all new employees to kind of really feel like what it's like to work at UT Libraries as soon as possible. For me, that might have been like 5 years. And I think it'd be better if it was 5 months, for example, something like that. And it wasn't anybody's fault for me. I'm slow. So we have this HR dashboard where we publish a snapshot of staff demographics and compensation every September with the picture of our 9/1 staffing information. So the reason for that is 9/1 is the new fiscal year. Everyone who was eligible for a merit, congratulations to us. We're making a little more today than we were last week. And it's just our official, this is who we were that year. It changes, literally changes every day sometimes, but this is a good way to compare year over year. So let me show you what we got. I'll just take the mouse. Okay, so this dashboard is available. It'll be in the link on the slides that we post. You can also get to it through the assessment team's webpage on SharePoint. And please ask me about it if you have any questions. So let me go to, I'm going to reconnect. Okay, so the first tab, demographic overview. First, I'll show you that this is, we have data back to 2019. That's the clean comparison that we can make. I think Workday being an important part of that. Thank you for nodding, Jessica. So you can see that we have not quite the most staff that we've had since 2019, which was 2019, but we're coming back from our low of 199 and 201. So overall, welcome all of you who are making up the new people that we have. Then we have these breakdowns of where, you see veteran, disability, gender, full-time, part-time. And then finally, I wish this screen was able to show both of these at the same time, but we have the generational snapshot. And so thanks to Tableau and the mastery of it that Crystal Wyatt Baxter has, you can hover on these, find out what these are and who they are, 1964. So here's me, Generation X, millennials, I see you coming. Gen Z, I thought you were my kids and you're working here. Okay, so this is our snapshot for 2024. I'll hover over here, 67.2%, 2.69, 18.39. I hope you guys can see this okay, but it's all here for you to investigate after the fact and dig in. So I want to show you the comparison here between, come on, 2021. So 2021, only 199 UTL staff. This was the trailing of the Great Recession. Everyone who got excited about new careers and working at home all the time and whatever that was, all of what that was. That's where we had 199. So we're up, 34 people since then. But we're also significantly, I think, and I don't know, significantly is in the eye of the beholder. But just 2 years ago, that's almost 75%. And this is what this looks like. Now I'll change it back. And then it has changed. So here on the second tab, we have a breakdown of job category demographics. And this one shows you the change over time for each category. Here, you can break it down however you like amongst these 4 choices. So you get this table if you're looking at female versus male. Also, I want to say, these are the categories that Workday gives us, and the caveat that I recognize that not every one of us fits into one or the other of these categories, but you got to check something on the box. So that's the way that is. And you can do it all the way down to this level of granularity. Compensation was a big discussion during that same time as the Great Recession was happening, as things were uncertain, the economy, the way we work was changing. So the university, thankfully, responded to that. And we've had, I'd say, the last 3 years of merits on average are as good as they've been since I've been here, since 2007. In fact, when I got here in 2007, the thought was, yeah, usually you get about 3% per year. And that was like the year that the tower decided 2% would be the number instead of 3 when they went forward on that kind of thing. So you see here, we can look at salary versus wages. Wages will just show you student workers. And over here, you can break down median salaries by different demographic attributes. Generally, what I want to note is that going from lower left up to top right is what we want on these kind of graphs for our salaries. We did have a little drop here on the, I think this is the median salary for the A&P category. But otherwise, these reflect the work that we've done for IDEA to make working at UTL a more accessible option for all of our staff, to think about the experience of all of our staff. And I'd also say that connecting with the in-person online strategic goals we have, we, I think, did very well in recognizing the balance between people who had to come in 2020, 2021 to hand books to people during the COVID shutdown. And it was a great change in UTL culture to elevate all of our branch and borrower services, our desktop support people, our front desk staff, and really recognize that, we're all doing something very important. It was true before that, and we recognized it before that. But the way that so in November, we'll get more into detail about budget, dollars, salaries, and stuff. But I just want to kind of preview that. I think there's a lot of really positive things trending in the right direction on this front. Okay, thank you. So now we're going to go back to the last couple of slides. And so the last point there was increases in minimum salaries for full-time staff, GRAs, and hourly workers. I'll show those numbers in detail at the next staff meeting, but it's for our entry level, the lowest salary we would offer any position. It was under 30,000 not very long ago, and it's now 41,000. So I get that 11,000 only goes so far in Austin, but within our budget and the way we do it, we're definitely focused on that and prioritizing it as both a retention thing, it's better for us if our wonderful staff who know how to do everything want to keep working here, duh. But really thinking about it from your perspective too, and I want you to want to work here. So everybody wins if we can do that. Retention's even better if you're not just barely hanging on, you know, and you're at your second to last straw. So hopefully, please do. I guess I throw out there, if any of these things are resonating with you and you see me walking around or email me, just ask me anything always. That's, I try to be as accessible as possible too. So the last slide is to increase equitable access to our content, services, and spaces. So this is one I would just, these are examples, and they're all good examples, I think, but I feel like this one is very embedded, at least in my daily work, in that any new thing we're doing, but in some cases, the building changes that you see, so the classics library, for example, when we learned that the library had bug and mold issues, and that we were going to have to fix that, at least the symptoms of that you could see, we knew we'd had to take the collection out. They were gonna open all the windows and, you know, blah, blah, blah. When you do that in the library, the stacks have to be reconfigured to meet ADA compliance, and pretty much none of our stacks that have been up for 30 plus years do. So often we're faced with this choice. Do we do a project that involves touching the stacks, knowing that probably we won't put any stacks back since you can't put as many books in the new layout, or do we do this? And this is what I think is a wonderful example where the faculty, the department chair, everyone wanted that library so badly. They worked together to figure out how it could work in this new configuration, collectively put it together, and I hope you'll all come out and see what it looks like next week on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. There's a gathering to see it, so go on out. It's a beautiful space, and I think it's a testament to that connection between the collection, the research, the researchers, and the students over there in Wagner, that they had every opportunity to take that space and turn it into offices or whatever COLA might have needed, and they asked us to please make it a library and make it as good of a library as we could afford in the project, and I think it's even better, really, than we could afford, so good for us. Secondly, about 10 plus years ago, there was kind of like the DEI, sort of a grassroots, not a top-down effort to address web accessibility and captioning. And so they had a different name back then, but basically Student Disability Services partnered with the library in making a case to the president's office that they would provide the money and we would provide the expertise and develop a service that would make sure that all of the required things that have to be captioned, course material for a student who's hard of hearing, who's enrolled in that course, kind of thing. Daniel Jacobs, who was the founder of that project, he's no longer working at UT, but he was excellent and did a great job of expanding that, offering new services. And when we went to Zoom in 2020, it just boomed. Everything was running through there. We needed captions on a lot more videos because that was the only way that students were going to get their classes. It was so successful that as part of what's now a top-down campus effort that also involves like a review by the Department of Justice, are we meeting our federal requirements for accessibility? It's now an ITS unit, and it's part of the Office of Academic Technology. So that they're kind of they straddle two different administrative groups at UT, but basically the success story there is it's embedded, speaking of embedding it in our daily work, it's now a centrally funded unit with expectations, and I thought that was a reflection of our success, and especially giving credit to Daniel. And then finally, we want to improve the language accessibility of our websites. So one of the requirements, for the ILA project, and that's the Archive of Indigenous Languages of Latin America. That's it. Okay, I'm almost done. That website can be toggled between Spanish, Portuguese, and English. And while that is not easy to do well, I think, is well worth doing. And we're looking to expand that option in wherever we can on our website. So as Jennifer said, these have all just been examples. And I know that many of you are working on things that fit under these categories that we didn't say. And I think the goal is kind of going back to the inclusion, the onboarding, that hopefully you think about your work and look up here and say, I'm dialed into these things. At least one bullet, I hope. Maybe two, maybe five, maybe all of them. I mean, the IT team kind of gets stuck with a lot of this. So it's I think, a great second year. We've got one more year to finish this. That was another thing for context, was things were so uncertain before we published this in 2022 that we wanted to usually we would have done like a 2-year cycle on this. We gave ourselves an extra year. Happens to now be coinciding with Lorraine's last day. I don't want to spoil anything, but we all saw Lorraine's email. Congratulations. And I think we have this great opportunity, one more year, to take all of these ideas, run with them as far as we can, and then hand over to Lorraine's successor an even better, more impressive library than we are today. So, thank you. Next slide. So, we had to sit here like this, not because, we wanted to see you, first of all, that was great. But this is the moment that we have these chairs for, in case you're wondering. So, can I answer questions, or would you like to recall Catherine or Jennifer to answer a question? Taylor's got a microphone there for you.
Yes, I do. So why the new name for the library storage facility? Was it just to confuse people, or was there a good reason
Yes.
for it?
You wouldn't believe how many meetings we had just to confuse people. It's a great question. The reason is that, and I know what we'll continue to call LSF for is the 4th High Bay module, but because it's now a destination for researchers, when you get out there in February or March, you're going to see a state-of-the-art, beautiful reading room, I assume. It sure looks like that on the pictures. And so we wanted to, and also the fact that now Briscoe and Ransom are taking their artifacts out there, and that the long-term plan is to continue expanding it. We wanted to name it something that would speak to the person going there for the collection rather than our internal nomenclature.
So it's a good reason.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
And yeah, it's so collections, and just it is an and. That's the thing. It's collections. We're doing preservation and research. We're not doing research on preservation out there. Hey, Dave.
I have a follow-up on that, Chris. With the addition of, I'm going to call it LSF4 till the day I die, and increased capacity, anything, are there any plans to increase the rate of ingest?
There are options to increase the rate of ingest, and we're waiting for the drivers and the demand. We're waiting to see what the schedule is for the HRC and CAH artifact ingest, which they're handling on their own. I'm not going to, do you want to get up and speak to that, Jennifer? I'll probably say that.
So I'll just note that with our current facility and its capacity, we would love to be able to increase the rate of ingest. And Dave, I think that's probably why you're asking. So yes, with the new facility, as Chris said, it's really going to be a question of how quickly, I think, can HRC and CAH, who have the bulk of what will be in what we're calling the low bay, so the new storage areas that are going to be cool and cold, and therefore like artifacts, textiles, statues, those kinds of things. How soon will they be ready to literally have trucks, showing up and unloading? And there's only so much room for so many trucks, and so we also have a situation with LSF1 where we're probably going to be almost definitely bringing in help to move things around the existing modules and probably start off putting a lot of what's in LSF1, if not all of it, into the 4th module, which feel free to continue calling it LSF4. But yes, a goal is to increase the rate of ingest, and it really is. There are so many projects and potential projects, both out at LSF, but also here on campus with things like the main building renovation that will hopefully be ramping up this fall. I think it was supposed to start in September, but we'll see. That we know we'll need to reconfigure and move some things around there, and it's really just a matter of us having enough of those details to put together a plan to either ask for additional funding for the resources to increase that rate of ingest, or rethink our permanent staffing model out there. Does that answer your question? Any other questions?
Yes, I had a quick question, and I'm glad you're up there because it's actually for you. So you mentioned the AI incorporation into the Ask a Librarian chat service. I thought when we last had that presentation, it was brought up as a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Are there now more concrete plans to incorporate AI into the chat service?
Not that I know of. I really was just referring to presentations we've heard about AI in our work, whether definitely or possibilities. So as far as I know, nothing has changed. I'm looking at Michelle. She's shaking her head. So no, it is, as you remember it, a possibility.
Perfect. Thank you.
No virtual questions either.
No virtual questions. All right. Well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jennifer, Catherine, and Chris. And I hope you are all ready to be tested and quizzed at the next all-staff meeting. I want to know if you remember what the 3 strategic options were and when it will come to be completed. All right? When? Thank you. Thank you. I want to just take a few minutes to update you on a couple of things. First of all, I mentioned earlier on how excited I am about the beginning of the fall semester always. I love to go out on Speedway, lunchtimes, and bump elbows with the students. And if you were on Speedway this past week, it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. So I also came into the building, maybe it wasn't this week, it was last week, and noticed how many students were in this building, in PCL in particular. And I realized that there were some events going on in the library here in PCL, right over there. And it was part of Welcome Week. And I was very, very excited to see that the libraries were directly involved in this. So I want to acknowledge the Arts and Humanities and Global Studies librarians in particular who helped coordinate some of these events. I don't know if you've seen the bibliogarden. I love the term. You imagine what a bibliogarden might look like? Full of books. They brought the world to UT libraries and put them on display, and the students were flocking to them amidst a very full UFCU room as well. So I want to thank and acknowledge that group. Not only did they do that, they did dance, Indian dance performance over at the Fine Arts Library. They had zine making, and on a Friday night before the long weekend, this place was packed for a movie, and I forget the title of the movie, but it was one of those popular ones. So everything at once, something like that. So thank you for doing that. I was so pleased to see the collaboration with other campus partners to make that possible with the libraries right here in the center of it all. I also mentioned how pleased I am at the number of new people we can bring on board every all-staff meeting. This group was a particularly large group today, and so I want to recognize our HR team. Where is she? Jessica. Jessica, Al, Anna, and Mabruka. They are magicians. I don't know how they do it. I was here over the summer, and I swear, for 2 weeks I had a new person interviewing with me every day. Every day, and then the announcements came, you know, they've accepted our offers, and now you are all here. So thank you for amazing work over this summer. Not only did they do that, all of you realize and remember the email from the president around FWAs and the changes that came about, right? Not so long ago. It came as a surprise, didn't it? And I am so grateful that we have Jessica in that office, because she worked with us to make sure that we could advocate for very little change. And while some of you may have an extra day here or there different from what you used to have, by and large, I think most of you are able to maintain and retain the schedules that you had before that. So please join me in just thanking Jessica and her team. You can't go anywhere now. We've given you flexible, we've given you raises, you've got to stay. Hang in with me until August 31st. Okay, so I also wanted to recognize, given all these searches that have been going on, all of you who have served on the search committee, please stand up. Please stand up if you want any of these search committees. Look at that, wonderful. It takes a lot of time reading all the applications, making decisions, discussing the best candidates to bring to UT Libraries. So some of you may have served on more than one, I'm sure you did. But thank you. Your work matters, it's important work, and it's only because of that diversity of perspective that we can bring in the quality and the caliber of our new people here today. So thank you. And when you ask to serve, I always want to acknowledge how grateful I am that you are willing to do so for UT Libraries. You make this place a great place to work. Okay? So a few other updates that I wanted to just mention. I shared with you the new name for RISD. It's now Research Support and Digital Innovation, and I think you've all seen the rationale for that. We do many, many innovative things. We're not just taking initiative anymore, we're doing very innovative things, and I thank all of the people who are directly involved in that unit and also in our spaces to enable that kind of work as well. Want to acknowledge and call out several of our team members, Anna Hackett, Stacy Pawlowski, Katie Thornton, and Denise Sorens, I think, for being selected to do the College of Liberal Arts Staff Leadership Academy. This is not a new initiative on campus, but it's the first time that the libraries have been involved, and so it's a wonderful professional development opportunity and a very high quality one, I might add. So congratulations to all of you. And then I want to just mention the Library of Congress webinar opportunity. I think I sent something. If not, you'll see it on Monday as well. If you want to learn more about the Library of Congress or see what opportunities that there might be for your nieces and cousins, not you, your family members can go there. You stay here. You know, there's going to be a webinar in September, and I encourage you, if you want to learn more about their collections, the work that they do, etc., to sign up for that. It's obviously an online showcase as well of the collections there. So it's on Zoom on Friday, September 27th from at 1 o'clock. And Noah will send more details around that. Now I want to take the last few minutes to just highlight a few people for work that they have been doing. Kent Scott and Greg Acker. Where are they? In August, we completed a renovation of the PCL 5th floor. Please go take a look, it looks gorgeous. And all of the large study group rooms, that's right off the elevator core, Kent and Scott Kent and Greg installed new AV equipment in the renovated spaces. They upgraded them to match the features of the Scholars Lab project. And we now have more than a dozen additional locations in PCL where students can have high quality hybrid meetings in newly renovated spaces. Kent and Greg made this happen in a short period of time between the end of the renovation and the start of classes. I walked up there last week with Chris, and they were still rushing, to get some of that work done. It's done. Thank you so much, Kent and Greg. How many of you were on vacation last Monday? Yeah? Well, I was too, but I had to run into the office. And I'm not sure who was more shocked because I think we scared each other. I come through the loading dock usually anyway. And there was Mikey Rodriguez painting away because he thought, well, today would be a quiet day to do this work. There's not a lot of traffic, etc. I came in, he said, oh, you scared me. And I said, you scared me. I didn't expect you to be here. So I want to recognize Mikey. When we were all enjoying a holiday, he was here painting on the first floor. Where's Mikey? Is he here? You've heard a lot about the Classics Library here this morning, and I hope you will join us, as Chris said, next Tuesday from 2 o'clock to 3:30. But I do want to recognize one person who absolutely took leadership with. And I recognize her for her diplomacy, her professionalism, her patience, and her leadership. Jennifer Lee. Thank you for ensuring that we could reopen the Classics Library on time with cooperation from especially the Department of Classics as well. Next week, Taylor, where's our Taylor, will help prepare refreshments for us to open that. So I invite all of you to come over and enjoy some of that and celebrate with us. Then this summer, we were busy in an exciting way. Lexi, where are you? Are you in the room? Lexi is our team lead for SERD, Scholarly Resources Department. Lexi led this summer, every Wednesday, the Summer for Open. Lexi's been appointed as the lead for many institutions in Texas, not just UT system, to negotiate with Elsevier, for open scholarship as well. And I've attended some of those meetings, not all of them, but I want to acknowledge Lexi's leadership and her entire team for attending those meetings, providing perspective to help lead what that might look like for other institutions who look to us, for that level of leadership. So Lexi and all of the team members in CERD, thank you for your work in this area. Also want to recognize Michelle Ostro. Michelle had the AI sandbox sessions, which I attended mostly on Zoom, but if you were here, I think there was food also, right? Yeah. But those were such wonderful sessions that she offered for not just AE, but also for those who are in the AI learning community group to learn about the new tools and how it might be incorporated, in their work as well. So thank you for leading those sessions, and they were very thoughtfully developed and executed. Thank you. And then finally, I want to acknowledge branch and borrower services. While you were working or being on vacation this summer, we had a group of people who completed the RFID project at the Geology Library. I forget already what RFID stands for. But several of our branch library collections have now been RFID'd. And I want to acknowledge especially James Galloway and Morgan Colbert for coordinating that work, and several of our branch and library staff who were helping with that project. As you know, we closed the branch libraries over the summer, so that staff was able to help also. So please join me in thanking James and Morgan and that team. So on August 21st, you heard from me. Oh, I tried not to do this. I love this place. When I shared that email, I'd obviously thought about how I would like to leave this place. And I'm so glad that I can leave it on my own terms. I want to be here with you this last year. I want us all to work together to make this an even better library. I'm mighty proud of what we've accomplished together. And there'll be time for farewells next year when it gets around to August in the summer. But my goal this year is to work with you, to work through the strategic priorities that we talked about this morning, and not just to perform our duties, but to position UT Libraries for the future in a strong way, to make sure that there's a smooth transition to my successor. I have a hard time even thinking about my successor. Those words are hard to say. It will be 11 years next year, and that's a long time. I don't want to become part of furniture. So it's time to go. It is time to go, but it's hard also to even think about it. I just want you all to know how much I have enjoyed every single year, despite the blips and the bumps that we had hit along the way. You become stronger, you learn. You never lose. You win or you learn. And for that, I say thank you to all of you. I've received many well wishes from people I've never knew existed on this campus. But one in particular stood out for me, and that was Dan Jaffe, our Vice President for Research, whose announcement came a day or two after mine, unbeknownst to me. But in his email to me, I'm going to quote here, he said that since he became VPR, he realized just how much the library meant to his work. Obviously, it's a research institution, and that is what we do well. UT Libraries is an essential part of the research enterprise, he wrote. And he went on to praise the great work that UT Libraries has done and continues to do of navigating the rapid changes in the way that UT handles scholarly research. He wrote it to me, but I couldn't help thinking that I had nothing to do with it. It's the very people in this library. And so today I want to especially acknowledge the social science and STEM librarians, the scholarly communications librarians, and the functional expertise in research and data services librarians who directly work with that office and who provide so many sessions. Just over this last year, they had almost 800 consults and more than 2,500 other interactions across the campus, including reference workshops and orientations. So from me and on behalf of Dan Jaffe, also, thank you. You have elevated this library every day. And to have a message like that come from the Vice President of Research matters a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Please join me in thanking them all. The Provost Office, despite the transitions that came the week after my announcement, will go forward with the search. Isaacson Miller, who recruited me to come here more than 10 years ago now, will do the search. They'll be the search firm for this. The search will be launched later this fall. I have asked that the libraries be well represented in that search, both in terms of the interview schedule of the candidates as well as stakeholder meetings with the libraries. I remember too well when I arrived here that I felt it was limited. And I wanted to make sure that that was not the case this time. So I really will stay in touch with the person in the provost office. I have not yet met the new provost. Hope to do so soon, but it is my understanding that the interim provost and the former provost have already talked about this search. So I feel good about the fact that that will continue. And I will be, in as much as I can, be involved at the front end. Once the search launches, I'm going to not be involved in any of that. I don't want to taint it, but I will start recruiting some of my colleagues if they want to come to Texas. This is a great library. This is a fantastic library. This library is so because of all of you. Thank you for doing so. Hookum. Take care of yourself, and let's take care of each other. Thank you.